Okay, so here's my page. I'm going to zoom out first so you can just see. I'm going to think that his head wants to be kind of in the middle, but up towards the top. So there's a series of circular motions, and I'm trying to find that circle shape. I'm going to zoom in now so you guys can see a little bit more detail what I'm doing as I start to work on his head. The next big shape seems to me to be, he has an ear that seems to be a triangle shape that comes straight up the top of his head. And then he has another ear, and it's a much bigger shape, and this looks more like sort of like a Dumbo ear. It's a big old curl shape that goes around there. Robin, make sure I see underdrawn. You just give me just that finished drawing. Okay, I've got to see underdrawn. All right, guys, this drawing again is worth 15 points. So if I'm not seeing underdrawn, you're not getting 15 points, guys. Okay, we're doing this for a reason. Okay, now when I look closely at Jerry's head, his head actually comes inside that circle. His cheek is out here where the circle is. So I need to make a decision right now. I think, in fact, his head is fine. What I want to do is I'm going to pull his cheek a little bit further out. So I'm going to pull a shape out here for where I think his cheek is going to go. So let me drop that out there. I might change my mind. I don't know, but we'll see. So once I have that cheek shape, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to set it up. My fault. Here goes that line of latitude. That's where I'm going to cut his face in half. And then I'm going to see lines of where I think his eyes are going to go, where his nose is going to go, and where his mouth is going to go. My fault. Let me put those in. Now those lines really help me because now I'm going to have a better sense of where I'm going to put this big oval shape for his eye. So there goes his one eye right there. And now I get a better sense of where to put the other shape for his eye. And this shape is a little bit smaller, so it's not going to be quite as big. So I'm going to put that shape there. And now that I have those two shapes, now I can see where to put this kind of heart shape that is going to become his nose, I think. And now I want to draw that shape that is his muzzle. So here goes his muzzle that comes up. It comes on top of his eye over here. And it curls around and comes up under. And then his cheek comes down through here and wraps around. He's got a cheek just like Tom does. So let me put his cheek in. So I'll stop. Okay, what does his mouth do? Now that I've got his cheek, I can now see that his mouth wants to come down. It's this big, it drops way down, and it curls up, and it curves this way going into his muzzle. That's going to be his open mouth. And then here comes, I guess, what the side of his mouth is over here. And then here's his lower lip. His lower lip is way down here. Drop it down. Bring it up. Then I can put his tongue inside there. Got a little shape inside there. And then I can finish up what I guess is the side of his mouth over here. I'm going to drop in some shapes for his eyes. He's got one eye there. He's got one eye there. I've changed the shape of his ear. Let me get that inside part of his ear as it comes around. And let me make sure to get those two little kind of tufts of hair. And you can see I'm drawing right on top of my drawing. And that's the whole idea to this. Because I'm not even done. This is my underdrawn. And you can see where I'm making mistakes. So there's his face. So I've got Jerry's head set up. And now I want to look for where his body is. His body, like I said, is this little kind of pickle shape. It just kind of curves down around, curves back up, and disappears over here. So let's put in this kind of lightly sketched, pickle. So I'm going to draw that shape in. His arm over here tapers. What does taper mean? It means it comes together at his wrist. It's thicker at his armpit. His hand is just going to be just this kind of rectangular blob out there for right now. That's not really what his hand is, but that's going to work good enough for right now. His other arm wants to come in front. Again, this is kind of a taper issue. It comes up here and it comes up here. I'm drawing right on top of my old drawing. His other hand seems to want to be a kind of a finger shape right here, and then this kind of pad. It's getting kind of hard to see. It's getting confusing. But this is where I think his hand is. There's his thumb, and that's where I think his arm is. Now I'm going to get back to that. I got to work on some other complicated things. Here goes a leg down here. The thing I like about Jerry's leg, the leg on our right, his left leg, is it's a series of counter curves. So here's his knee, and then here goes his, guys, his heel. And then here goes his toe. So it's a curve, a counter curve, and a curve, and then another curve over here for his other toe. So his foot is a series of curves and counter curves that just kind of set up a nice little rhythm for maybe where a foot's going to go down there. His other leg comes out here, and same thing. It's a curve, and then there's a counter curve. It comes in through here. And then we have his two little, kind of what look like little toe shapes that go there and there. This is my underdrawn. I'm going to put in a little something here for his tail. Tail comes up and curves up. His tail also tapers. So this is what I think my underdrawn for Jerry wants to look like. Now I need to go back and revisit things like his hands. I already know this foot isn't right. It needs to be longer and probably skinnier, but I'll figure that out when I revisit it. So I'm going to come up here to his hand, because I can see now that his arm is this, it curves out at his shoulder and then it curves over into his hand. And then I didn't get this curve here for his thumb. It curves out, then it comes up. So here goes his thumb. His fingers, and he has 3 of them, are just these series of little, there goes 1, there goes 2, and there goes 3. And then there's his little clutch there for his palm. That's his hand, and now his arm's going to come down and go join his body. I think I made it too skinny. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. So there goes his one hand. Notice now I'm drawing darker. I have to. I've got to start to make sense out of what the underdrawn looks like, or I'm sorry, what the overdrawn looks like. So I've got his one hand. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to try to fit this other hand in. I hope I can do it. Let's see. Hand comes up and it curves, and the finger here curves up, and then it curves down. I think I'm going to be able to do it. Then his thumb comes off of that. His thumb comes down. There's a little hitch to it, and then there's another little curve right there. There goes his thumb. His arm is actually coming off of his wrist, so let me bring that up there. And then he has 2 other fingers that are poking out. This finger I'm going to barely fit that finger in, and 1 more finger underneath that. There we go. There goes his other hand. I think I'm in luck. I think I can fit Jerry in this picture. Okay, what does his body look like? Well, he has this little kind of, it's almost like a convention for cartoon, this little kind of white chest area that curves around and comes up and does this kind of heart-shaped thing. So here goes now his knee. Now I can see that his toe is really a series of 2 curves. There's one, and here's one. This now defines the sole of his foot. It curves around. And I'm going to make now his heel a little bit bigger, because his heel wants to come up, and it wants to go on the other side of this, and this wants to come down and come down in there. There goes his foot. Now I think his foot's too big. Here goes his other toe. Now I think I can do it. And now I'll bring this part in. So there goes one Jerry foot. Foot on our right, his left foot. Day, how we doing? You drawing? Let's go. Push that pencil around. Come on. Okay, so here goes then. Look what his body's doing. Now his body comes out. Here goes the back part of his knee, and his body actually extends outside. Little loop right there. And then one of these lines is going to be his other leg, and it comes down and it comes up. And if that's what it is, then I need to move his butt. His butt is too close. So I'm now going to take all this right here and pull this all the way back here. Here we go. I'm extending Jerry's butt way back to there. And now it's coming up. I just had to. So there's a major mistake I made, but it's easy enough to fix it. Then here comes his one foot, his toe. There goes the other one. Because I need to be able to see what's going on here. So the first thing that I think I want to do is I think his belly still needs to be bigger. So I'm going to make his belly, I'm going to pull this down. Another mistake. Pull this down, I'm going to pull it out. Now in this case I am going to be erasing because I was making that so dark. It just needs to happen. So there goes his belly. I'm going to reshape that. Now I'm going to come back up to his head and I'm going to finish up his head. So now I come in with just that finishing line. So here we go. Here goes the inside of his mouth. If I feel that I can track my line, I'll track it. But if I feel like something is amiss, as you've already seen, I'll change it. His tongue needs to come around a little bit tighter in there. Okay? Here goes his upper lip. And it comes into his cheek. Cheek's coming over here, comes up and curves around. I think his nose is a little bit off center. I'm going to move his whole nose over a little bit. I'm going to try to give it more of that kind of heart shape that it seems to be. Put that little glint of highlight on his nose. His nose comes in once. Nose comes in again. There goes that. Here goes his lower lip. Lower lip comes around and it comes up. Notice how the lip doesn't touch anything down there at the bottom. There goes that. Where is that now definitive? That this comes way out here someplace. Here goes the side of his head. I think I'm doing okay with his hair. And let's do that rebuilt ear. The ear needs to come lower than I had it, so I'll bring it down. There goes the inside of his ear. Disappears behind his hand, comes out to a little point and disappears. Make his fingers good and dark. I think I made his eyes too big, so I'm just going to make them smaller now, right now, to fix that. Make that eye smaller. I'm definitely going to make this eye smaller. If his eyes are too small, then I got to replace his eyelashes. Give him his eyebrow. His other ear's coming up. His ear isn't nearly as pointed. And add his tail and I'm good. Actually, I'm not. Add his whiskers and I'm good. So there goes his tail. Throw in some whiskers. And Jerry is complete. And again, when you look closely at my Jerry, you can see all kind of areas where I changed my mind. His toe out here, his butt back here, his whole ear got shape shifted. So it's all about editing your work. It's all about auditing your work. It's all about making adjustments and just refine it until it looks like the image that you want it to look like. Now, like I said, I will be grading this. It's going to be worth 15 points. It's the first assignment of the new year. When you are done with Jerry, I want you to paint. If, for whatever reason, there's too many people painting, you just don't have the time,